Now we're going to meet Homer Mars, who's a singer and a lot more. Let's watch what he does.
This is me at my school. It's amazing. This is me in a car. It's amazing. This is me with a fake. It's amazing. Getting into a bar. It's amazing. This is me in cute boots. It's amazing. This is me as a flirt. It's amazing. This is me and some douche. It's amazing. In an Ed Hardy shirt. It's amazing. Because life is damn amazing. I'm a damn amazing girl. Oh, life is so amazing. It's such an amazing world. Yeah, life is damn amazing. I'm a damn amazing girl. And when you're doing, you gotta give
Ben is single again. Ben is single again. Ben is single again. Ben is single. Ben is single. Ben is single again. I'm still trying to mend. I'm still trying to mend. I'm still trying. Ben is single. Travel back to the night at the bar by his side. Well past drunk, beyond high. Out of control, he let me go. Ben is single again.
Wow. Homer, come on in.
Hello, Amber LeMay. How's it going?
It's going great, Homer. So good to meet you. All right. Now, I don't know if you are on a dating app or not, but if you were, what would your description be, or how would you tell people who you are?
My description of myself,
Yes.
I would say I am a single gay male in California, Los Angeles, California, looking for love and other things. And I play music. I'm also an actor. I also proofread really well, if people like that. I enjoy games and puzzles. I collect retro video games. I love to play the guitar. I'm wearing my favorite McDonald's shirt. That would not be part of the dating profile, but I just am seeing my reflection in the Zoom here. And what else would I say? Yeah, I like ramen a lot.
I like that. You checked off a lot of positive things on my book, so we'll talk later. Homer, where'd you grow up and develop into some of those hobbies and interests?
My childhood was divided between Illinois, England, and Florida, so quite a different smattering of places. I started playing piano when I was young in Illinois, and I played piano up until about high school, and then I started to listen to like rock music, and so I started to get into guitar. Went off to college.
Who were your early influences in your rock guitar days?
Well, my first musical influences were like the first record that I got was Cyndi Lauper. And then I was really into the B-52s, and I liked The Cure. Then I got into musical theater because gay, and that lasted for a few years. And then I went in. Then I got into like the Smashing Pumpkins. That was a big sort of jump into rock music for me. My parents bought me a Bon Jovi cassette for Christmas one year when I was little. I think to try to butch me up, because I had asked for Boy George the year before, and they got me Boy George, which was very sweet of them. Very sweet of them. Erasure and the Pet Shop Boys, I should have forgotten. When I was in England, so Britpop is, mandatory there, and so I really got into Erasure and the Pet Shop Boys, and I think that's when my parents were really like, I think we have a homo on our hands, but they were cool about it, and yeah. So then I got really into rock. So it's like I have these sort of roots in like pop, but then once I got into rock, I like never looked back. And so the Smashing Pumpkins, the Lemonheads, Hole, those bands all kind of took over. But I don't know that you really hear all that in my own stuff. I mean, you hear kind of the 90s, you hear a lot of 90s influence, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
You talked about musical theater. What did you like about musical theater?
The harmonies. I really liked the first. Well, so the harmony, the musicals that I liked were the rock musicals. So I was, Jesus Christ Superstar, Hair, The Who's Tommy. Those were my favorites, and I really liked the combination of the guitars and the choral harmonies. In rock music, you usually get like one harmony, but in musical theater, you can get like 6 or 8 or whatever. So I went through a phase where I was more into the like traditional musicals too, like Evita and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. But it was the rock ones that really, and those kind of cross the line as they are. Like Hair is definitely a musical, but it was sort of a musical written to be pop music. So pop rock music, so people who are like truly musical theater buffs who like Sondheim and stuff, I don't know that they would count me as like a real musical theater fan.
Yes, you are. Where did you go to college and what did you study?
Boston College. I studied psychology and English because I wanted to figure out why people made spelling mistakes. So yeah, I loved it. I mean, there's not a huge Boston College contingent here in LA, but there is a presence, and we hang out, and I still have, a good girlfriend of mine from college came to visit from Dallas last weekend. So I still keep in touch with those kids.
So how did you get into the music business from that?
Through comedy, believe it or not. So at Boston College, I fell in love with improv comedy. I felt it was like I got into the school's improv group, which was like a little cult, my sophomore year, and I really loved it. I loved it so much, and so I wanted to go to Chicago, which was easy because that was where I was from originally, to study with the Second City and Improv Olympic and the Playground and places like that. And I did, and then I ended up again just after school really loved improv. Ran that whole course. I did end up working for Second City. I performed for them in Vegas and on tour. And I lived on a cruise ship for a full year performing sketch comedy and improv comedy. But I always wrote songs for shows because I always played guitar like for my own amusement, and to try to lure men into my private chambers with varying degrees of success. But I had always played guitar to amuse myself. And then once I started writing sketch shows, I started to write songs for the sketch shows. And then invariably those would be like my favorite part of the show. And then also other people would be like, yeah, I think my favorite thing that you did was your song. And then I kind of fell out of love with improv for a little while just because I'd done it for so long. And I kind of was like, I really want to try to do music like more professionally and really like record stuff and perform at music venues. And that was a very hard leap to make. So I did that. And you'll hear in my stuff, the first things I put out were very much like comedy music. And that's how I did, like I had a song called The Facebook Song, which was just about Facebook back when Facebook was more of a new phenomenon.
And where did that was played nationally, wasn't it?
It was on, I got to perform it on Jimmy Kimmel Live, which was great. But that was before that kind of was what gave me confidence to think like, oh, maybe my songwriting is okay. Because at the time I didn't have the song recorded at the time. Even I had sent them, like, they were doing this thing called National Unfriend Day. And I had sent them the song, and it's totally like spitting into the ocean or whatever the phrase is when you try to send an email to like a national TV show. Is anyone even going to see it? But it got seen and it got heard, and then they invited me to do it on that show, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. But at the time, I did not have it recorded. I sent them like a demo, and so that kind of gave me the confidence to be like, oh, maybe my songwriting is actually something people might listen to. And so from there, I was like, okay, now I want to try to like write more, perform more in this like music. And the more I did that, the more I didn't want to be comedy. So like my music today, it's very tongue in cheek, and you'll definitely hear humor in the lyrics, but it's more in the way that like a straightforward artist can be funny, rather than, I'm not trying to be Weird Al Yankovic. I'm not doing anything like that, So, but people do often, when they hear my stuff, they're like, yeah, your lyrics made me laugh, which is I'm completely happy with.
Very good. When did you start recording and let's say making it?
About 10 years ago, I started to I think I recorded my first EP. I was in Chicago, and it's just such an uphill struggle, to try to get I played a lot of shows. I mean, I had some great experiences. I traveled a little bit regionally. Like I did shows in Milwaukee and Madison and Indiana, but not a ton. And it was mostly in town. And, really when I kind of came out to LA, I started to see the difference between people who were doing it kind of as a hobby and people who were doing it professionally. It's a very different scene out here. I don't know if that does that answer the question.
Now, you said you played in Milwaukee. Were you playing gay clubs or just
in Milwaukee? I played. No, I played at a quote unquote straight bar, but it was owned by a gay couple. In the neighborhood called River West, which was like a burgeoning turnover neighborhood, I guess. It had been really rough in the past. And I played there a couple times. And that was really fun. But, I would use Growler to advertise shows. That's a great, speaking of dating apps, like they have this feature called a shout, which you can send a message to everyone in a certain radius. And it's if you're an indie artist, it is a great tool for getting your stuff out there because it's very affordable and you do reach people. It's way more effective than like placing an ad on Instagram, in my opinion. So I would always advertise on like Growler. So I would get gay people at the shows. I played another place in Milwaukee once too. I played twice at Art Bar. And another time at a show I can't remember, but it was with a straight band. I mean, I hate to say straight band, but you know what I'm saying. It wasn't an LGBT showcase, which I played at a lot of like pride festivals or LGBT things, or like I'm playing at a gay men's retreat weekend next week here in California, out in the mountains. So things like that, and which I really really enjoy. But yeah. So I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of that other venue.
So out in LA, do you promote yourself as a gay artist or?
Yeah, because, it's God, especially out here. I mean, you don't really need to there's so much gay and queer of everything, like everyone is something that, you don't really need. It doesn't, people care even less how you identify. But for me, my lyrics are very much personally written from my own like queer perspective. So while music's universal, people who are like identify as gay men are more likely to be able to connect to it with the personal experiences. But it's like love is love and experiences are experiences, and I get a lot out of listening to like songs by straight artists. So it doesn't, in a big way, I think it doesn't really matter if the lyrics are written from the perspective of like loving a boy or loving a girl or loving both or neither. But that is who tends to listen to my stuff more or resonate with it stronger, which is just human nature. I think the more something actually reminds you of your own life, the more you're likely to respond to it.
Tell me some of the successes you've had with your music.
Oh gosh, well, recently I'm very happy. So my most recent song is called "He's a Bitch." I'm really happy with that one.
Did you write that about me?
I would never. Yes, I did. But so it was that song went to #1 on 2 charts, which I was very happy about, which are the Q32 LGBTQ music chart in Canada, and then one here that's based in Chicago called the Alt Q Radio Top 20. And those are both great outlets for independent queer artists because you don't need to be signed to a label, which at this point it's like, I mean, certainly being signed to a label is a huge help and blessing and can get your stuff amplified a lot. But with the internet, you don't really need to be anymore. So, I don't know. It's hard for me to rattle off like successes. I just consider anytime I get a message from someone that I don't know, who's like, I listened to your music and I loved it. That's successful for me.
That's successful.
That happens. You sometimes get these beautiful compliments from people that are legitimate strangers that are not like your friend's boyfriend trying to just, be nice. And that's really what keeps you going. It's like, see, there's some people I seriously don't know who are complimenting me. And then with like Spotify, you can see where people are listening in other countries. That's always cool. It's like, holy crap, I had 10 listeners in Belarus. How did that happen? Or is it just like one gay kid with 10 accounts?
And you've been on the cover of a magazine, weren't you?
Yes, Fair World. Yeah. Bear World's a great website. They've been great for me. Their magazine, they went from in print to online a couple years ago, just because all magazines have. But yeah, they still put out a cover for every month, and I was Mr. September of 2021. That was when Ben came out. Ben was the second video you played just now in your clip.
Yes.
And that's definitely one of my more serious songs. There's really, I don't know that you would find that funny at all, and that's okay.
No.
Yeah, but Ben is definitely, you know, a song about heartbreak. But no, so Bear World's been good to me. It's really the gay press is more where I've been more likely to get coverage. It's, you know, getting, as I'm sure you've been hosting a show, as I'm sure you've noticed, trying to get like press for almost anything you do artistic is nigh impossible. You know, there's just so many people trying to do the same thing you're doing.
As a gay performer, have you experienced any backlash, any trouble that the other gay performers, the drag queens, and the gay establishments have been experiencing?
Well, I've been very fortunate because I've always lived in these very liberal centers. So when I started doing music, it was in Chicago. Certainly when I was touring with Second City, I definitely had some towns that we went to where I was nervous. But in those places, I was just like, well, I mean, no one knows I'm gay unless I like say that, or, you know, so there were definitely places that I was in Wyoming one time, I was in the Virgin Islands another time. And I definitely remember thinking like, this is not a good place for me to be like, where's the boys? But once my musical life primarily is rooted in Chicago and LA. So any sort of flack, like sort of your stereotypical anti-gay BS, I've only ever gotten that on the internet, and it's easy for me. I don't have a problem deflecting that, and it saddens me. Like on Facebook, I've run ads before to promote, like I have a new song out, and a lot of times my artwork is very clearly gay, or even my description will be like LGBTQ musician Homer Mars, whatever. And it surprises and saddens me that people do take time when they see an ad for something gay. There are plenty of people who will put the like little angry face reaction, which to me is just like, oh, really? Like, you're really going to upset me by putting a little like cartoon anger icon? Like that's supposed to make, but then they will write something like, you know, repent now, or like homosex is sin. That's my favorite. Homosex is sin. But anyway, you know, you do that. And that like surprises me still. Cause I'm like, wow, you know, kind of, I'm like, who are you feeding this to, Facebook? Like, these clearly are not people that are like of my demographic of listeners. So I don't know how they get these ads, but yeah. So to make a long story long, it's just long answer longer. I've only gotten it online, and it's never been super personal. I've never gotten like a letter directed directly to me, just like comments on YouTube, comments on Facebook from just losers who have nothing better to do with their time. And I have no problem just clicking delete.
Oh, Russell likes to troll them along on our YouTube.
I don't do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Homer, thank you so much for talking to us. Fascinating story. Love your music, and I hope to hear more from you.
Thanks for having me, Amber. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and I love your outfit today.
Thank you very much. Like your McDonald's shirt as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.